the book, The Good Life. It's the longest longitudinal study really done, I think, in the field. It might be across a lot of fields, but definitely in the field of psychology. 100-year study.
Wow.
On determining what's the most impactful part of well-being. And for psychologists, you can start to guess what do you think well-being is? What do you think would bring well-being? Well, people think of exercise, they think of diet,
nutrition.
I'm
going to guess relationships.
Well, there you go. So at the end of all the research, the bottom line is that above all of those things that we think are so important, the one that paid the biggest dividend was the healthy relationships, or is it relation? Yeah, dignity. So you've got to put time into them. And I've been reading a book right now on the positive psychology interventions for strengthening relationships. And one of them is just crafting creative questions that you can empathize with and discuss with your family members. Because we tend to, especially even as we age and our children go away, which I'm in that ballpark now, to have very superficial conversations like, how are you doing? How are the kids? What's the weather like where you live?
So really exploring curiosity.
But curiosity, just active curiosity in conversations, and putting yourself in positions to have those very active, curious conversations with your family members and listen. Use active listening to hear them. The connection will start to grow deeper and stronger through active listening, instead of just on your phone, scrolling,
halfway listening, which is a problem. We do that a lot. And we can stop that, though, if we create some awareness around it.
Yeah.
And pay attention to that.
And just so you know, I mean, everyone's having that problem. I feel like my kids have judged me for that, too. I'll be in the middle of doing something.
Well, it's because we're doing something important. Maybe there's benefits to it, like that we can work from home and we can be doing something that's meaningful or that needs to get done, but then they jump in and don't recognize that we're doing something important, and then they want your attention. And so there is a conflict surrounding that.
There is.
It's not a clear delineated, like, I've gone to work, I'm not available, and now I'm home and I'm available. That's been blurred so much that we're working from home, and so
and the kids and they do it too. They're on social media. We have all experienced sitting in a room where every member of the family is on their phone and not talking to each other. So this is a very important concept in happiness that needs to get underscored. The relationships trump. Just remember that. If you want to have a beautiful life, relationships trump, and that's why the book is called The Good Life. So where are we at?
PERMA.
PERMA.
I love that it's an acronym. Makes it easy. This is good.
Yeah, so easy. I can't remember the end. The M, and then we're going to go to A. Okay. Come back to M.
Okay.
This is remember what
it's like a game.
Right.
Yeah. Then we're going to see if you can put it back together.
Yeah. Okay. So A, we're going to go to A, which is accomplishments. So we do need to accomplish things in our life. And again, that takes us back to
the beginning. Almost.
Well, to the E, to the engagement part.
Yes.
Okay. So we do, we need to do hard things. We need to push ourselves, and we need to accomplish things. So I think if you are listening to this podcast and you're thinking, how am I going to be happy? I feel like you really want to look at what you can excel in, what you're really good at, what you're naturally good at, what you want to do when nobody's looking. Like, what do you want to do besides scrolling your phone and all those things, and the unhealthy habits? Drop those. What do you want to do in your spare time that you're really, really good at? And then push yourself. Create situations where you can excel and allow yourself to be there. And remember that that's as important as the activities,
is it mindfulness?
The other activities of your life.
Is it mindfulness, the M?
It is meaning and purpose, and I should have remembered that.
I think mindfulness could have been a good one.
Mindfulness is a really good one.
I was thinking, I was a little distracted. Like, what's the M? What's the M? What's the M?
Meaning.
Meaning is meaningful.
Yeah,
that's important.
And it's actually a good place to land, and I'm okay that I didn't remember it for a hot second.
Everything has a purpose, and that's not for us. So we designed it this way. We just wanted to see if you were paying attention.
Well, I think this is interesting because meaning and purpose comes to us in a lot of ways through spirituality. And yet our world has really taken a dive when it comes to interest in God and a spiritual side to life and their meaning and purpose in this life. And humans have always had a fascination with a deity or looking at some heavenly kind of divine purpose. And I totally expect that we will cycle right back there, because meaning and purpose is a big part of our happiness. We do need to feel like we have purpose on this earth, that there's some meaning in our well-being, that there's some meaning in our life, that we have a sense of connectedness to some kind of a divine source or some kind of a philosophy that sits behind us that gives meaning to everything. And so if you have that, if you're anchored in some kind of a spiritual religious base, you probably are going to naturally have a little bit more happiness than someone who isn't. Sorry, because the research says that we do need to have some sense of meaning and purpose. And so explore that, like look at your belief system around meaning and purpose and why you're here and what you're doing, and reach to understand that better. Let it grow within you. Let that understanding kind of move through you, because it is part of your happiness, and that is the magic formula.
So I'm thinking, as you said that, and I think this would apply to a lot of the women in this demographic that are listening, that a lot of women will become mothers and find a ton of meaning in that stage of life. But then you find that as those kids grow up and they move on and you're not as needed anymore, that women will go through a period of time, if they aren't already working or doing something else, where the kids are gone and what's my purpose now, and have to reinvent themselves and refigure out, well, what makes me, where's my passion and what makes me click, and then they'll go through a rocky time and then figure that out and then be happier once you find that meaning. So it makes a lot of sense so if you want to get ahead of that, then if you can not lose yourself completely to the mothering, and those who probably have an easier time are doing some meaningful things alongside of that, so that it makes that transition a little bit easier. But that, again, that just makes a lot of sense to me of why so many women will struggle during that transition.
Well, you can see why a lot of people find so much joy in their service projects and in their non-for-profit organizations. And you can see in this generation, it's interesting, this younger generation has really moved away from religion or spirituality in lots of ways, but they have very much moved into meaning and purpose.
Right.
You can
finding
see
other ways to do that through humanitarian work.
Humanitarian work. So it's not
they still need something.
They still need something. So remember, it's a human need to have this sense of meaning and purpose. And just to speak to that empty nesting piece, oh yeah, for sure, it's a transition. And while my kids kind of hung around for a while, even post 18, trying to get them launched through university and getting married and children and everything, we finally kind of hit that stage where I feel it. I feel they don't need me anymore.
Yeah.
My meaning and purpose is gone. Now my grandchildren.
And you try to do it with grandkids.
Yeah, you try.
But you're secondary because they still have their own parents.
Yeah, I'm the backup plan for the parents. And grandparenting is a huge and very important role. Grandparenting is there for a purpose in our evolution as humans. Grandparents can actually fill in for a fallout parent and lift a family through difficult times in ways where kids who normally would fall into statistics of failure based on their family system, a grandparent can come and just like transition that whole thing. So grandparenting is very, very important, and I get that.
Yes.
But it's different than parenting, and it's a transition. And so we do play roles. We have different roles throughout our life, and we need to find meaning and purpose in them, but we have to be willing to change it up when age changes us up.
And change is a very hard thing for many people.